Good evening. My name is Rosamond Vanderlinde, and I'm the author of A Piano in Every Room. This is a memoir, a true memoir, about the seven pianists in my family who lived in a 42-room house with 34 pianos. Nobody else could have written this book. I planned on reading a few excerpts, and I thought I would start first with the table of contents, because that's also a forewarning of what's coming. So the first one is about searching for the music. And since I was 7 years old, I was looking and looking to have piano lessons, but I didn't get any until I was 15. And The Hunger Winter is the story of my husband in Holland, where he was stuck in the hunger winter that was caused by the Germans. And then we come to transposition. And of course, as you know, in music, transposing means to switch from one to the other key. And in this case, I switch from somebody whom I was engaged to Rein from Holland. And then comes the four-part fugue, where we get four daughters. The next chapter is the organ transplant. And you have to guess which one of our children has had the transplant, because that's what it's about. An organ transplant is a big deal. Well, of course, in this case, the organ transplant is about transporting an organ into our own house. And it has 464 pipes. So that should take care of the organ transplant. And the ties that blind are a little scenery where we all got together to make a living, and we made ties, hundreds of them, until my father had 300 in his closet. And then there's Around the World in 80 Dishes, and that's a cookbook that Polly and Tasha, my two daughters, got in print before I ever thought of going to print. And then there's Summer Sonatina, tells about our camp, and the Juilliard years, where we had a lot of students go to Juilliard, including two of our own children. And this is one of my favorites. We moved into a convent, and we have the title, The Nuns Are Replaced by Holy Terrors. The next one is chapter 13, when you would expect something very bad, but this particular one is called Lucky Balls. Then we have the unemployment office, and this is where I teach the people who are unemployed. I give them 8 weeks of free lessons. And then we come to competitions, of which our children and our own students certainly worked hard on all of that. And then we have Miss America, because one of our children decided to go and be part of the talent in the Miss America pageant. And then eventually the king of music dies, my first husband. So we're going to move on to the excerpts. And this is from the first chapter, where I'm searching for the music. At age 7, I contracted poliomyelitis, and my hope for music was again dashed. The disease, an epidemic in the 40s and 50s, attacked children in particular. Polio, or infantile paralysis, often left survivors paralyzed for life, some living the rest of their lives in a huge iron lung. Polio was highly contagious, and parents and doctors considered the summer months the most dangerous. No one knew for sure how the disease spread, whether it was through direct contact, or hot summers, or through the water in public swimming pools. Parents did not let their children go outside, or into public places, or even socialize at all, and my parents were more protective than most. All summer long, we had no friends, could not go swimming, could not leave the house. I played in the backyard with my sister Mary, age 4, and my brother Rico, age 1. I distinctly remember feeding Mary some sand from the sandbox with a tin spoon. Though she seemed to like the mixture, my parents scolded me for what seemed to be Mary's own fault. Excerpt number 2 is from The Hunger Winter, where Rein somehow kept his piano hidden from the Germans. And he told me by the age of 14, I played the piano in frayed, drab winter coat, in a winter coat with sleeves so short they looked like they had been cut off to 3/4 size. He studied the Beethoven sonatas without a teacher and worked on all 32 of them through the long, cold winter. He had a lot of time on his hands, and he became deeply caught up in the music. It coursed through his blood and took his mind off the cold and the evils of war. Few people in the world are able to play from memory all of the Beethoven sonatas, but later, as an adult, with no music in front of him, he could recall any of the 32 sonatas. It is a marvelous feat. And then we have a little tidbit from the transposition. And what are we going to have here? Oh, yeah. This is the one about where I go to Bennington College. And of course, we're going to have a sun festival, or Earth Day, and the whole lawns were covered with beautiful tents. So I entered one of the tents, and I saw her sitting on a tall stool, her long hair tousled. She was a big woman wearing a large black t-shirt. It was rumor she practiced magic. She sat in front of her crystal ball, black but dimly lit. I heard, "Welcome to the supernatural." I said, "Oh, happy Earth Day. Could you tell me my fortune?" "Sit down, my tragedy, and we'll get going." She looked scary, and her voice was menacingly methodical. I sat down. "Oh, I already know my future because I'm engaged, but I'd like to hear your version of my future." "Oh, no, my Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune, you have no idea of your future. Only fortune tellers, such as I, can notify you about that." I gulped and showed her my engagement ring. "You, my erroneous one, are sorely mistaken with your misadventures. I want you to close your eyes now." I could hear humming and then silence. She must have been deep in thought. The pitch in her voice dipped down a bit, and she uttered, "I'm soothing the magic 8-ball, and it is letting me know you will come to a, oh, I can't feel this part. Wait a second. You will become married to a faculty member here at the college." She brushed a straggle of gray hair from her face. "That's ridiculous," I countered. "That can't be. I already have my marriage plans." I'm going to practice magic again. All right. So now we have this one from the chapter of the 4-part fugue. Around Christmas time, when Polly was in 1st grade, that's my oldest daughter, she ran home from school and said, "Mom, Dad, they want me to play the piano at school for the Christmas concert." "Oh my, how wonderful. Well, what piece are you going to play?" "Away in A major," she said. Ryan and I looked at each other with a half smile. Polly, of course, did not know the word manger. We could hardly hold it together. And the piece was in A major. That was the other funny part. All right. Over the years, we needed to collect those 34 pianos. So one day, a man called us on the phone to offer us a free piano. "Where are you located?" I asked. "Right over the hill in Shaftesbury. You can't miss it," he said. We searched for a long time for the place described as "you can't miss it." When we arrived, he ushered us to the barn, and there was a once-upon-a-time piano, now just a soaked and dripping mess inside and out. Ryan and I were stunned that this happened to an innocent piano. The man explained, "Yep, She was covered with mouse poop and dust and dirt, so I thought I'd hose her down for you. To laugh. I said, it sure is wet, and that's one thing a piano does not like. And Rein said, well, we can't in all honesty take a wet piano. You might as well haul it to the dump, because it is worth nothing to anyone anymore. The man looked sad. And our final little excerpt here is going to be a story about our backyard where we held all of our concerts, but there was a little shed in the backyard, and our son went to the school next door to our school. So that's the background on it all. So one day, I looked out the window, and my curiosity was piqued. I swung on my coat and went out to the backyard to ask all these people what was up. They answered, shivering in the cold, oh, there's a new no smoking policy at the school, and we're not allowed to smoke on school property anymore. Didn't your son Christian tell you? I guess he didn't tell you, added Mrs. Whalen, the secretary. He invited us to smoke behind your shed. I was thinking, my goodness. My eyes were wide with surprise. My son invited these smokers to continue such a bad habit on our property? Hey, we're a school too. I hated to encourage such a thing, but our family did our best to cooperate with any concerns at the monument school. So I let it go, knowing full well that Christian was simply being his amiable self. Then during the winter, the cold drove the teachers into the shed itself, and it became known in our family as the Butt Hut. That's with 2 T's. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.